Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Create Your Magical Life live event preview. Today, we're going through preview number two. If you haven't watched preview number one, then you can watch it. It's on the live event page, and then you'll get some information about what I have discussed last week. And I'll just do a quick recap before we go through some of today's topics. Last week, a few of the major things we discussed is first in the live event, how to create magical habitats for different magical beings, allowing them in your reality. And whether you believe or not, or what you believe about the realms of magic, what it is basically it's higher dimensional math and science and technology and magic and miracles. They're all the same. They're just information that is slightly beyond our current level of understanding, and then sometimes we classify them as magical and miraculous. And when we start to tune into those energies and understand the science behind them, and we're able to, let's say, manipulate our environment and redecorate and reshape our space-time continuum, then some of those magical things could be our everyday solutions. Just think about you being able to take a laptop 1,000 years into the past and being able to play a movie, right? It will be magical for those people who'll be watching it, and they can either call you some kind of god or goddess, or think that you're possessed, and then you're going to be in trouble. But ultimately, the idea is, in the 3 days in September 21st, 22nd, and 23rd, we really want to make sure that we dive into magic, we play a lot with magic, and we explore a lot of different ideas and concepts. And it's going to be a very practical exploration. So, once you learn something, once we explore something, once we talk about something, then, you will practice it, and you will practice it on your life, for your abundance, for your health and wellness, for the flow that you notice in your daily life, and information that you have noticed in your past. Okay, so, we'll play a lot with that. And we will do a lot of experimentation with what Einstein called it thought experimentation. And when we look at a lot of very successful people who have brought down a lot of information on Earth, how they talked about they were able to connect with a certain level of consciousness, even if they have described it differently. But we will access some of those different levels of consciousness, or different planes that are that we can access now, and we are ready to receive some information for our path, for our purpose, for our guidance. And you will learn how to bring in information that would be beneficial for your path and your journey by continuously doing some of these experimentation. Okay, and then we will certainly talk about let's say how to do crystalline projection. In crystalline matrix, I talked about crystalline projection. In the live event, we will go much deeper into crystalline projection, and also sending, let's say, group projection. And what I will ask you to do, and those are some of the things I will mention on the member page, that before you come, you list out, some of your issues, what you're looking at now, what you're facing now, what you would love for your reality to look like. And then what are some of the things you would love to accomplish or manifest, how you want to open up, how you want to align. So you will bring in some of those issues. And when we do a lot of the group projections, and when we set up a lot of feedback loops and other things, we will play a lot with some of those energies and information. So thanks for joining. we will actually play a lot in this event. That's what I like to do in the live events. We like to play, we like to create, we like to look at how we shift things and how we do things that are unconventional. So then when you go back, then you go back with a lot of that information and you can apply that information, knowledge, techniques, processes for your everyday life. That's the main thing. It's not something you do in a live event. It's not just meditations and journeys. And certainly we will do a lot of journeys with the stars, especially like Antares, that sends us time waves as we will play a lot with time. But, you can take these processes and use them with your clients, use them for your path, for your journey, for your, let's say books that you want to write or publication that you are working on, or, maybe educational tools that you want to release. You can apply a lot of these processes for your journey, so it's all customizable. So that's why, these events are very powerful, because then we can, in person, come together and play with these different ideas that are otherwise difficult to explore or difficult to explain on the phone or even with the video. But when you are in person, then you can look at a lot of these different areas, and we can look at opening up your senses more, so you can see more, hear more, feel more, align more, and also tune more into some of the star energies, because a lot of the cosmic energies of evolution for us are coming from a lot of these, collective consciousness of the stars. They are actually very high vibrational cosmic energies. So, or beings, however you want to look at. But as we open up more to some of these cosmic networks, we can allow more things to show up more easily. Okay, we are at a time where we see this clash. The groups that want to hold on to old ways of doing things, and then the groups that want to bring in all this new information. And interestingly, with some of the cosmic cycles, like, you have heard about Uranus entering Taurus a couple of months ago, and how there was so much about it. Taurus is that grounding energy. It wants to hold on to the same structure, same format, same information. And Uranus wants to break everything and bring in all the new technologies and the discoveries and everything else. So we will certainly play with some of these energies too, so we can shape reality not just for us, but for the collective consciousness, for humanity, for helping the kids, because we are kind of not paying attention to all the things we do on Earth. So we have kind of messed up a lot of their habitat, for the future. So they're coming in and they're looking at new ways of doing things now. So we will empower a lot of the younger generation and companies, groups that are bringing in new technology for us. So, you learn to constantly empower them, and, how much you want to focus on that now versus how much you want to focus on, your life first. It's up to you, but I would suggest a good mixture, so that, we can constantly shape our reality and shape the global reality, because once we heal the planet, we heal ourselves too, right? So a few things I wanted to discuss today. First is the feedback loop, and some of this information is not even on the webpage, because, as I focus on the class and as I play with different techniques, before the class, these information show up, in batches. So a feedback loop is something, that I'm used to because of my technology background. And we would create computer logic or mathematical logic where, we would define for how long or for how many iterations something continues to happen. Now, how is that useful? It's like I mentioned like in an email that it's almost like having two world-class players playing tennis, constantly, and you see the ball going back and forth, never out of the game, but the energy and the momentum keeps building up. And if you think about tennis, the ball going back and forth, it's actually, they're creating an infinity loop. I don't know if you have ever actually noticed that. But the way they play, one person, well, I don't want to describe tennis, but the ball hits the ground and comes back twice. It creates an infinity loop, when we play, when we look at tennis. So when we talk about feedback loop, what I will help you to do is first we will have a start point and an end point, and you will isolate a particular period of your life, or you will select some days, whether it's in the past or present or future. We will do all of those, and we will set up some larger ones too. That's more like lifetime feedback loop or timeline feedback loops. But what you will start doing is certainly start certain momentum, like maybe a vortex energy, or we will inject certain let's say like a tennis ball, certain type of idea, or wellness energy, or abundance energy, or global empowerment energy. Some of these will come from different stellar energies too. But you will learn how to set up a beginning and an end point, and then throw those energy waves and allow those cycles to continue and build up back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And then what the objective is allow this feedback loop to, so let's say for example, you're playing with an abundance feedback loop. So when you allow that energy to build up at certain moment, that structure or that defined state cannot hold it anymore. So you will notice a flow or a wave of abundance, or some of those energies going out of the defined feedback parameters, so from that area all over the place. So that means, throughout your life, maybe for the next, you set it up for 100 days. And then when that energy builds up, it will carry the momentum for the next 3 years, the next 5 years. So we will set up a lot of feedback loops in time like that. And, you also learn how to play with different global events and set up feedback loops there. So that's something, new, and that's pretty major when we actually understand the concept. So, I will help you understand the logic behind it, how some of these loops work in computer, in math. And then when you have that basic understanding, you don't need to understand the details, but when you have that left brain understanding, then it's easier to create the feedback loop. So just notice the energy building up to a certain point where the loop cannot hold it anymore. So it just, goes out of the loop and, goes out throughout your life. And then past, present, future, different timelines receive those waves. Okay. So we will play a lot with feedback loop. I think it's going to be fun when we can, play with these concepts, and your brain understands about them because they are in the collective consciousness. Mathematicians know them, computer programmers know them, and people in many different professions know them and use them. So, in the collective consciousness, that knowledge exists. We will just convert that into a holographic process so that you can shift your reality. And those of you who, let's say, work with clients, you can set up these loops for them, even if they don't know how to do it, you can play with them too, and notice how it shows up in their lives, how the results show up in their lives. So that's something, we will play with. Then another thing we will play with, it's pretty major too, is the spherical timeline model. It's not a new concept, but very few people talk about this. Usually science fiction and some of those movies like that, they have, I think they touched on it more than others. But when I talk about the timeline sphere, you will understand, like, we will go into how, um, let's say, what we call karmic ties. It's just a ripple in time that needs to be harmonized. So think about it as, I don't have a disc, near me, but think about a CD, right, or a DVD, and think about you putting a scratch on that CD or DVD. It doesn't ruin the whole thing, but when the laser beam comes to that point, suddenly, that CD is not going to play that well, and it goes into a repeat mode, or it skips. So things like that happen. So when trauma or severe issues happen in your timeline, it's almost like a scratch in that time sphere. So when you notice that scratch, let's say if you're moving through time, in that circle, in a Fibonacci circle maybe, uh, but then every time you come across that area, then suddenly things happen. Like similar patterns show up again and again and again. And you think that you have worked so much to heal that, but again it showed up. So there must be something underneath. But sometimes it's just that scratch through timeline that's causing the disharmony. So we will kind of look at how to shift that energy using the spherical time model and go back to the source, to the source of that issue, and heal that entire time pie. If you want to look at, because when you take a chunk out of a sphere, it's almost like a pie. You're taking out of that sphere. So we will heal that whole segment. So we will play, with that idea. And again, those of you who are working with clients, you can use and apply some of these methods right away to look at how, their lives and their timeline could be shifted, pretty quickly. So playing with time sphere is something that we will explore. Then certainly the other thing is injecting solutions in time. So think about that spherical timeline and the time sphere. We'll magnify it, and let's say you want to plant certain ideas in your past. Like you're thinking about, 5 years ago, if I thought about this, then I could have done so much more by now. So time is not linear, right? Past, present, future, they're all simultaneous. So what we will start playing with is implant or plant different seeds of ideas, different technologies, different solutions at different points of your journey, so that idea or the concept would exist now 5 years ago. In this reality now, you have thought about it 5 years ago. And now, as you have moved through time and and as you have come here now, then I don't know what solutions will show up, but something will shift. So we will play with some of that, those events. And again, you can do that for healing of old patterns. You can do that for shifting reality. I'm playing with, you can play with ideas of like buying certain stocks 5 years ago. We'll see how that works, all right? Playing a lottery, 5 years ago, and, you may find the ticket under your counter or something. We'll see how that works. But we will play a lot with a lot of the, practical ideas, and how to, plant seeds, and how to plant solutions, how to bring in certain ideas and empowerment, through time, and, inject them in your past or put them in your present, inject them in your future timeline. And when we look at things in a linear fashion, but, we will play with all of that, and we will play with this model of time so that we can shift reality, more easily. Now, I think the last couple of years, I've been getting a lot of information about looking at time differently. Looking at time like an environment, so that you can decorate time in advance. It's almost like you want to move into a home, and then you're going to move into that home next month. Now, if you decorate everything in advance, then when you are in that home, everything is set already, right? So in that way, when you can decorate time with certain flow of information, with abundance, with options, with wellness, with other ideas that are important for you, then when you enter that time, when your consciousness enters that time, then what you were looking for is already there. The manifestation is there, the energy is there. So then it's our job to kind of start to play with creating a resonance to what we desire so that we can embody it more easily and the energy information can show up more easily. Yeah, so we'll play with some of that, and certainly the theme is magic, so we'll play a lot with magical connections and setting up a network of, let's say, your personal magical connections. Different beings or different levels of consciousness that can help you, empower you. So for anything, you can start or kind of activate that magical network and be empowered by them so that you can bring in a lot of solutions. So we will play a lot there. And then, certainly we'll play with using the flow of magic and miracles to empower you in every way for abundance, for relationships, for health and wellness, for alignment, for opening up a stronger flow of information that's beneficial for you, for helping the planet, helping the environment, bringing in empowering leadership, starting helping to start a lot of shifts in many different parts of the world where people need help, opening up hearts for humanity. So we will do a lot of exploration for all of these. So it will be like 3 Power Pack days. Those of you who have attended in the past, you already know that I talk about some of the ideas and concepts, and then the event becomes so much more than that, because our group energy will dictate also where we focus a lot. So that will be beneficial for moving forward. So, those are some of the things we will do. I talked about crystalline projection a lot, a little bit. Here we will send out a lot of group projection, and I think last year, I don't know in which class or which program, we played with sending signals, and where you focus on empowering everybody else. You don't focus on yourself, but then at the same time, everybody else is focusing on empowering the group. So then everybody is getting empowered, and we constantly send out a lot of these projections. So we will involve our crystalline energy and send out a lot of projections, and we will talk about how to bring in multidimensional energies that scientists are working with now, and how to use those energies for projection. One of the concepts I've been looking at is what scientists are calling 8-dimensional crystalline projection. They call it E8 crystal lattice or E8 mathematics. Through math, they're proving that how an 8-dimensional energy, 8-dimensional environment, 8-dimensional crystalline energy is projecting information in our 3-dimensional and 4-dimensional reality. It sounds, well, depending on how we look at things, it could sound fascinating or it could sound complicated, but it's a fascinating concept. So, we will play with that, and we will play with that crystalline lattice, the 8-dimensional crystalline energy, and we will start to tune in there and to make shifts in that 8-dimensional environment. That will be a part of the journey for us, and make fine-tunement there, so the projection that we receive here is different. So when you can, change some of the information here and inject more of let's say, a stronger flow of magic, stronger flow of abundance, stronger flow of harmony and prosperity, then the projection here changes. We will talk about how scientists are also talking about pixelation, and I'm excited about some of the concepts they are finding out now, and they are saying these are some of the foundational building blocks of our reality, because we have played with all those ideas, or most of those ideas. So it's really exciting for me to look at a lot of these concepts and look at how we can use these energies. And now these are backed by science. Some of the concept I talked about a couple of years ago, now math is proving their existence. Science is proving their existence. Companies are building technology and solutions to create models and experiment. So it's an exciting time. So that's why we can all come together and play, and then we can look at shifting reality. Our objective, besides personal growth and alignment and opening up a stronger flow of magic, is to really look at how we can start designing life with magic, and daily life, not just something you do 3 times a year, but we want to make this a standard for our day-to-day life. And we want to start empowering Earth and little kids these days, and then empowering different groups of people, different companies that are bringing in a lot of solutions for Earth, for humanity, for moving forward. So we want to play with how we can empower all of them and each other, so we can receive the solutions now, and we can notice greater consciousness evolution on Earth. Okay, so those are certainly some of the things that we will play with, and then certainly we will play with fractals. Scientists are researching a lot how fractals work, and how everything in nature look like fractals. There are different segments of codes that are everywhere. So we will play with, let's say, creating different types of fractals, using the Fibonacci sequence, like this spiraling wave that you have noticed everywhere. And we will look at how we can create some of these fractal energies around for things that are important for you in your life. Could be alignment, could be wellness, could be bringing in more love, and how to create them, and how to start spinning these energies, so your whole timeline gets a boost, and then you can boost life on Earth. You can help look at bringing in a lot of healing for the water on Earth, for the environment, for the planetary grid. So the exploration will be will be happening at different levels. One is for our personal, and then you can use that for your clients and your family members. And then the next phase is also looking at collective human consciousness and Earth, so that we can empower each other and create a lot of magic. Okay. So mainly I wanted to share this, and since I will be moving away from Seattle-Bellevue area, and I'll start another phase of my journey, I will see how the next phase unfolds. So this is the event I'm setting up before I leave town, and then I don't know what will happen next, or when I will be back next, or what's going to show up next, and where, who knows, right? So especially those of you who are in the area, I know we have done some local events. Many of you showed up, and we played with a lot of magical energies in the last year or so. So if you're in the area, do take a look and see how you can maybe take a bus or train, or drive or teleport, play here, and we'll have a lot of fun. Yeah. So if you have any questions about the event or about any specifics, then you can raise your hand, or just ask. using maybe the chat window too, and I will go over those. Otherwise, we'll go into a quick journey, and then we will play with the energy that shows up for the group. Now, since I started doing the soul transition codes about a month and a half ago, a lot of these connections from higher planes and how to, bring in different cosmic information in different ways, and a lot of these crystalline energies, they're all showing up more and more. So we'll play with a lot of these energies, and any surprises that show up during the event, we will play with those. And those of you who have played with me for some time, you know that pretty much in everything I do, there's always some star connection. So even if I don't talk about that on the page itself, the Create a Magical Life page itself, then we will still do a lot of star journeys, especially we'll play with Antares, which helps us to work with time waves, and then we'll play with most likely Regulus. So Regulus has been showing up a lot lately, and then we will also most likely we'll play with Saturn too, because Saturn is playing a big role in showing me, guiding me about time, about rolling back time, about freezing time, about doing things with time. So with Antares and Saturn, we will play with time a lot. So we will do a lot of cosmic journeys, and certainly we will practice a lot, and you'll get some good star connections too. So let's take a look at the chat window. Is there any remote access? No, it's a live event. There are things like it's hands-on, so it's you gotta be here. So when we play with the group energy, and when we do a lot of projection there, then you want to be there in the room, doing the stuff so that you can notice your sensations. And also you can get a lot of validation too. And when you are in that group, in that environment, and we may look at nature and other, let's say, how to program some of the things, and how to bring in different cosmic energies, how to let's say put, or how to energize information or cosmic energies, how to energize objects with cosmic energies. So we'll probably look at some of those. So those of you who have some of the, let's say, magic wands or stones from some of our past events, you can bring some of them, energize them. We can create some tools for your time traveling, time wave, playing with time. I'll create some diagrams for you so that you have some visual representation, and then on paper, whenever you play with time and some of these let's say energies, you can play on paper too. So I'll see what I can create for you, so that will be that you can use more physically too, but certainly it will be a live event here. Okay, I don't see any hands raised, and I don't see any other questions either. Okay, so let's do a quick journey. Focus on your heart. Gently close your eyes, and let's begin to breathe in and out. Let's activate or refresh your harmonic shield. Let's bring up spiraling earth energies from the center of earth, and allow those energies to come up through your lower chakras and your feet for grounding. And let's bring down some spiraling rays of the sun through your higher chakras and your crown. You are inside a vortex between the earth and the sun, and allow the energies to keep getting stronger for you. Tune into your heart, and I'm going to bring in a beam of light from a higher level of consciousness. Allow that energy to gently come down and spiral through you, and going all the way down to the center of Earth. What type of alignment do you need in your life at this moment? Notice the immediate response that comes from your heart or from a higher part of your brain, not the logical mind. Notice that response. And through that spiraling beam of energy waves coming in from a higher plane, let's bring in solutions for you. Simply tune into that energy. Allow the energy that's coming in to turn into a vortex and allow this vortex energy to spiral through every cell, through every atom, through your DNA strands, through chakras and meridians, through your thoughts, feelings, emotions, and beliefs. I will also bring in some energy waves from the World Star Regulus for empowerment. So you can move through what's showing up in life now, learn the lessons, and move forward fast. Now let's tune into the live event and notice the energy and notice the parts that will be beneficial for you, for your path, for your journey. Simply notice. Notice where you can focus on more to shift your reality and align more. Let's bring in some magical energies for you. Tune into the flow of high vibrational magical energies. Allow these energies to spiral through you and help you shift your reality faster. Allow these energies to draw a path in front of you. And in your mind, begin to walk on that path. See it, feel it, notice it with all of your senses. Allow the energies to integrate. Allow every cell of your body to integrate all these energies and information. Let's breathe in and out deeply and gently a few more times. Let's come back to your present moment. Grab your hands together and gently open your eyes. Welcome back. So you can go through the journey multiple times by watching the video or this particular segment of the video, and look at what's beneficial for you. Look at what type of exploration would be helpful for you, and look at your time, your schedule, where you are, how you can be there, if that's important for you, what is important for you right now. So when you look at all these areas, then you can figure out how you can be there, and what are the parts of the event that can help you more, or help your clients more, and you can play more. So let's play together. If you have additional questions, you can email support@lifeharmonized.com, or post in one of our private Facebook groups. Then I'll get back to you. Otherwise, I'll see some of you soon, and just come with do your best to come with a list, like where do you want to go, what's showing up in your life. So when you start to think about some of these in advance, then you can come here and we can shift things more quickly, and then we can practice a lot more for designing reality, for enhancing reality, and especially how to play with some of the new information that's backed by science. And some of us have been playing for that for some time anyway. But then how do we bring in crystalline projection into a lot of these things? How do we combine different tools? Let's say if you are using crystalline projection and at the same time you're using the E8 crystal energy from another plane, like you can amplify the effects, and at the same time then you can inject some feedback loops for your reality. So we'll play with many different options, and we'll mix and match things. So understand this is going to be a practical event, so you'll get to practice a lot. And when you practice a lot, the reason behind it is then you have more confidence, and then when you go back home, then you can play a lot with on your own, or sometimes in the past events, we have set up accountability partners, or in this case with magical partners. Then you can play with your partners or your group. Then we can play that way. And like some of the groups or some of the people from Costa Rica retreat that I have done, I think about a year and a half ago, they're still playing together. So it's really fun to see how they're coming together every week and just calling in from wherever they are, and playing, and constantly focusing on helping the planet, helping each other. So you can continue to do that same. And it creates a really powerful connection for all of us when we are live and we are playing with all of that information. All right. So I think that's pretty much what I wanted to say. I don't see any other questions or hand raised. That's great. So thank you for joining. Have a magical rest of your day, rest of the week, rest of the month, and I know I will see a lot of you at the live event. Those of you who can choose to come, it'll be it'll be an empowering event. We'll have a lot of fun, and the others can play with the energies anyway. Just look at what's beneficial for you. And sometimes, here's one thing though. Sometimes I get questions and I get emails from sometimes participants from different events, or sometimes those who haven't done anything live with me, that I chose to go and I got this, and suddenly this issue showed up, or that event showed up, and what's happening. Notice that too, because your brain knows how powerful these 3 days will be. So sometimes we kind of self-sabotage. So if you have issues suddenly popping up, then shoot an email to support, post on Facebook group, allow the group to help you diffuse some of those energies, and how others are diffusing those energies. So sometimes before major events, things can show up. You can just play with that energy, shift it, and let's create a lot of magic. Okay. And let's see, there is some of you are sharing on the chat window. I didn't see any questions. Okay, so let's have fun. And especially those of you who are, within a couple of hour radius, then see how we can all play together. This will be the last one in Seattle-Bellevue area since I'm moving in a couple of months. Actually, at the end of next month, so probably a week after that live event, and then we'll see what shows up next. So let's play, let's create a lot of magic for all of us, and remember to use the tools for yourself, for Earth, for upcoming events, and let's really keep shifting our environment to attract a lot more magical solutions. So take care. Have a magical rest of your day, and let's start the week.